This is a bold statement, but Greenland is not ready for international tourists. After the capital airport's new revamp, this summer was the first real test as a true international airport, but flights have been disrupted, cancelled, and the airport itself even shut down multiple times, and I got to experience it firsthand as I fly SAS onward to Europe. And after a week after I visited, the airport lost security approval and had to suspend all international flights. The airport meltdown was honestly fascinating as two cultures collide, but it may be a while before Greenland will be actually ready for international tourists. I'm Youngmin. I solo traveled to 127 countries, all while working a full-time office job by maximizing my vacations and points. And now I'm finally on YouTube to take you along for the journey. Welcome to the adventure.
Prepare for landing.
Continuing my mega journey from LA to Seoul, I flew United's new 737 route from Newark to Nuuk to arrive here for a fantastic 24-hour layover. I'm flying onward to Copenhagen and then to Seoul as SAS returns to Greenland after more than 2 decades. Before the airport completed its expansion last year, the only international flight that operated was Icelandair's tiny turboprop from Reykjavik, a 2-hour flight. This year, SAS finally returns to Greenland after 2 decades. They operated Kangerlussuaq Copenhagen for 50 years before ending regular service and then completely in 2007 due to competitive pressure from Air Greenland. In late 2024, the capital city's airport finally completed its revamp and expansion to accommodate larger international flights, which began in the summer, but there were many issues along the way that made me sweat coming here. Airport staff simply didn't show up one day since it was the start of the annual deer hunting season. Even summer weather is super volatile, which leads to delays and even cancellations. So although I had a great stopover, I'm praying I can take my next departing flight. So I paid and I got a taxi to rush to the airport just in time before check-in closed. But then I came to a very long line of security, and this is absolutely bizarre. As soon as it was my turn, they told everyone to get our bags and leave back out into the airside hall. So I head back out and I was almost first in line, and everyone that had entered before me came out of the airside hall and lined up after me. They closed the metal security door and we waited and waited with zero announcements.
2,000 years later.
And even staff came out, and I believe the entire airside area was evacuated.
1 eternity later.
So then, after 90 minutes of standing and waiting, they opened the gate. No announcements. And it got worse. When we tried to scan our boarding pass, the 4 automatic gates wouldn't open, so there was a single airport agent who was manually checking our passport names to the boarding pass. Once through, there was one security line operational, and the guy at the x-ray machine was taking forever, and only one of the 2 lanes was open. So I jokingly asked one of the Danish airport authorities, and they just smiled and said, "It's not broken, it's just closed." So after security, you head down into the departure gates area with the duty-free shop, but if you actually head up, there's the free waiting lounge where I found it empty. There was no updated departure time listed on the boarding gate, but after a further 30 minutes of waiting, we finally got the boarding announcement on the speakers. Everyone was on board in about 10 minutes for this flight that was about 75% full. Today's A320neo has a total of 168 seats, with the first 7 rows marketed as typical European business class with the empty middle seats. Once we pushed back, the flight was almost silent, very European. And just like my flight coming from Newark, there was almost no one seemingly below the age of 25. And again, no babies. It was finally after we completed boarding that the pilot gave the first explanation of what happened, but he kept it brief as a security issue. So kudos to SAS and the crew for letting us know, while the airport authorities completely left us in the dark. This is nearly a year after the new airport was unveiled, but to have multiple security failures and shutdowns, this is concerning as a supposed European airport. Now this is the big risk. If your flight gets impacted, with very few flights scheduled per week, you might be stuck for days waiting for the next flight. And with limited and expensive hotels, that might be an issue. On top of the fact that Nuuk is very small and not much to do. So I had a wonderful time despite the nerve-wracking airport meltdown. And thank God the rest of my itinerary wasn't impacted. So it's goodbye for now, Greenland, but I hope I can visit again in the future. Shocked and curious about what just happened, after my trip I found a comment online that described exactly the same thing that happened to me, but a week before, so this was not a one-time thing. And a week after my visit, United announced they will return in summer 2026, which is great news, but also right after that, the airport shut down from all international flights, as the repeated security failures this summer had finally reached its limit. So the first real test for Nuuk Airport as an international airport wasn't very successful, but we'll see next year if Greenland will be ready for the tourists. And here's a very basic seat tour. You have a big clunky IFE box clogging the legroom in the middle seat, but no IFE screen, so please let me know in the comments if you know what that actually is. Got your USB charger, and the in-flight Wi-Fi services provide Wi-Fi for a fee, as well as a digital menu and entertainment choices. And here we test the recline. For our in-flight service, we got 2 free beverage services and a paid meal service. I normally don't buy stuff on the plane, but since our arrival was delayed, I paid for a burger and requested it right before I descent, as I was doing some work with my AR glasses. The burger was very cheesy, and I just felt like an airport or train station Dunkin' Donuts sandwich. It was nothing special, and I will never order it again. And now how I booked. This is a $600 flight in cash for economy. My flight coming here from LA should have cost $1,000, but I booked that in miles. This one also I got in miles. In total, it only cost me 11,500 Virgin miles and $83 in taxes. In the end, we were delayed by an hour and a half, and we arrived an hour late. I guess they couldn't step on the gas and get us there earlier. It was a 4-hour flight, but felt really comfortable with having no one sitting next to me. I had a great view of the wing and the clouds in the back, with a beautiful sunset in the horizon. As we arrive into Copenhagen Airport, keep in mind this is a $600 flight, even in economy. And this is still a domestic inter-European Schengen flight. Now we arrive late, almost no flights after us, and we still get a bus gate. You'll see in the next video the bad luck continues, but it turns into an absolute blessing. Thanks for watching. I'm just starting to record my adventures on YouTube, so subscribe and stay tuned for lots more.